Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reimagine 2021. This is our 8th conference in a monthly series of events bringing you nothing but the best projects, bright minds, leaders in the space. We've been fortunate enough to have to invite many talented individuals and teams, companies to come speak with us, providing updates, insights, and all the above that's happening in crypto. I'll be your host today, Adam, from the MouseBelt team, where we focus on early stage investments through our accelerator, providing development support, to a number of growing projects, as well as education within our MouseBelt University program. Our main objective and goals is pretty simple. It's increasing adoption, use cases, and real-world applications. We seek to educate our audience, on blockchain by helping them understand crypto's real impact. So again, thank you all of you for joining for our event. Super excited to be here. We have an exciting interview for you today. Let me go ahead and introduce you to Sagi Bakshi, CEO of Coinmama. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to participate, and very fortunate to get this going and looking forward to the discussion. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me, Adam. Great to be here.
All right. So, this conference is pretty straightforward. We've been talking to, leaders, influencers, CEOs, entrepreneurs, startups, like all the above. And everybody has an interesting journey, about what, how they got into blockchain, falling down that rabbit hole. This is your first time here, which is exciting for me to have you, first time guest, and would love to just hear kind of what you did before blockchain and then how you ended up in blockchain.
Okay, so in my education, I'm a computer system engineer. So I started my career as a developer. Actually, I wasn't a good developer. So after a few years, I changed to be like a pre-sale engineer, traveling the world, meeting with other engineers of other companies, architecting networks of telecom networks, etc. After a few years of that, it wasn't my passion. I joined a childhood friend to establish an internet company, and we focused on building tools for software developers. That company, established 10 years ago, today is going public on NASDAQ. The name of the company is Iron Source, and it's going to be a huge IPO. It's the value of that company today is $11 billion. So I was the first employee there, and I led the biggest division as a general manager of the company. My friend is the CEO until today. And during that crazy journey, I learned about Bitcoin somewhere around 2015. Like everyone else, at first I ignored it. I said, so someone invented an internet coin. Okay, I've heard this before, not interesting. And I was lucky to have a very close friend who insisted that we take a look at it in a deeper dive. And this guy, he said, look, there's something super interesting that is called the DAO, the Decentralized Autonomous Organization. They're doing an ICO, they're raising funds. I want us both to buy some tokens of the DAO. I said, no, it's not for me. I don't believe in it. I think it's nonsense. And I hung up the phone. He called me again. He said, Sagi, it is going to change the world. It is amazing. It's a new paradigm. It's something so big. In 5 years from today, there will be no accountants, no lawyers in the world. No one needs it anymore. I said, look, you're crazy, but I know you and I trust you because he's a super smart guy. I said, okay, let's take a look. I said, how do I buy DAO tokens? He said, you have to buy ETH. I said, what is ETH? How do I buy ETH? He said, you have to buy Bitcoin and turn it into ETH. How do I buy Bitcoin? And I started the journey. It's a journey. It's a leap of faith. But the first moment that you press buy or you press send of the Bitcoin, at that moment, you are frightened as hell at the first transaction. So, what did I do? What did I just do? I sent my money over the internet to some black hole. I don't know where it is now. I pressed it here. I expect it to appear in the other side of the world. I don't know this system good enough. So that journey was a fascinating one. And as a computer engineer, I had the tools to learn. So I just took the time, and after a few weeks, the DAO was breached, and a lot of users' funds were hacked, and then was the split of the Ethereum network. So that time, the Ethereum network was split into Ethereum Classic and Ethereum as we know it today. And thanks to that split, obviously Vitalik had a lot of a headwind, a lot of criticism about that split, but we were able to rescue our tokens. Wow. And in order to rescue the tokens, you had to know exactly what you do. You had to go deep into the wallet of the Mist. I think it was called the Mist wallet. The technology was broken back then. It took us a lot of time to understand how to deal with it, how to rescue the token. That journey actually educated me well enough to like and to understand a little bit the potential behind the Ethereum and obviously Bitcoin. And there we were lucky, and after a few years, I left Iron Source to focus on Bitcoin. And now I super happy to wake up every day to lead Coinmama. Is one of the biggest platforms, one of the biggest brokers in the world to sell Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies.
And we'll get into that like shortly, because I feel like you guys are tackling a lot of the problems, you know, the buying, the selling, the onboarding, the simplicity. And you're a finance guy, you're a business person, like, you know what's going on, and you already had your doubts in the beginning, and now it kind of makes sense. What is Bitcoin? Like, what's the disruption there? Obviously, Bitcoin blockchain has touched a lot of different avenues, such as you know, the healthcare industry, the enterprise front, supply chain, NFTs, DeFi, right? Touches a lot of things, a lot of new areas of opportunity that there's a lot of challenges, barriers across the world for whatever reasons, businesses and all that. What is Bitcoin to you, I guess, in terms of crypto? Like, does it open the doors for everybody? Is it a global currency, a store of value? And you could talk high level, but what ticked in your head?
We can talk 3 hours, and I will not cover it enough. But the first moment that you want to buy Bitcoin, the first attempt to buy Bitcoin, the journey starts with a bank. And usually and globally, because we deal with users every day from 190 countries, that beginning of the journey, when you the first friction with the bank, in order to buy Bitcoin, at that moment you understand exactly why you need Bitcoin. Because the bank in many countries, they say, you want to buy Bitcoin, you want to transfer your dollar from our bank to some crypto broker? No, we do not allow it. In many countries in the world, they do not allow you to buy what you want with your hard-earned money. And that's unacceptable. Okay, that at that moment you understand that even me, that I live in Israel, which is a democratic country, it is not fully democratic. Okay, you are still a prisoner of the financial system, and not at least it was a good system. It's not a good system. It's expensive. It's inefficient. It has a lot of bureaucracy, and it doesn't give you the freedom or the independency that you want. You want to own your money, you have to own it, not trust a third party. So once Bitcoin was introduced to humanity, it solves so many problems, not only to the privileged people like me in a Western country, but also especially for refugees, third world citizens, people who don't have any access to the financial system because they are poor, because they are under a totalitarian regime. So many use cases that remembering 12 words in your head, and by that allowing you to cross border with your family fortune, that was never accessible. This kind of system was never accessible to in the human history. I keep telling people about the Jewish Holocaust, okay? The Second World War. So many people knew what is going on in Europe, and they were afraid to leave. They were afraid to say, okay, I have to escape with my family. Why? Because they had a real estate, they had a bank accounts, they had gold. They knew that they will not be able to pass the checkpoint, and they were afraid to lose their assets. I think if today that the same situation happened and today we have Bitcoin, many lives could have been saved over there, and in any war zone across the globe. I mean, so that's one aspect of Bitcoin. But again, the world needs some neutral financial system, something that is common to everyone around the globe. We use the internet on a daily basis, and millennials and younger generation, Gen Zs, they were born into it. They know how to speak with each other and with computers. They trust open source. For them, it's native. That's how the world was built. And for that, you need an internet money. Mm-hmm. We need some system that is not depending on any government and is completely open source. Imagine Wikipedia. Okay, Wikipedia, you can trust that it has no financial incentive. No one has. Some people try to abuse it a little bit, but they have some checks and balances, and it's the encyclopedia of the world. Okay, a lot of good data is there because it's an open project, and everyone can contribute with some committees that audit and check the quality. It's the same with Bitcoin. Everyone can join as a developer, and you can see exactly how the code evolves, and you can audit it and you can trust it. It's like Linux. Okay, Linux was built at first. The closed source companies like Microsoft and Apple, they laughed at Linux. They said, okay, it's an open source. It will never replace Windows. But today, airplanes, they fly based on Linux operating system. You can trust it. It was battle tested, and it was developed by hundreds of developers around the world and QA'd by hundreds of QA engineers around the world voluntarily. Yeah. So I totally trust these open systems.
So what are some of the problems that you're seeing now in this space, in this period of time, kind of where we're at, and how do we get Bitcoin into the hands of the next, 100 million people? And I feel like Coinmama might be tackling some of these things.
Yeah, so first, there's like a dance with the regulators, okay? On one hand, we do want some clear regulation because it allows us to understand what is needed, what is expected from us. I'm talking about the on-ramp services like Coinmama. On-ramp, it means that we take a user $1 and we sell him Bitcoin. And it's not trivial to do this shift, okay? Only I don't know, like several tens of good companies in the world actually do it well and do it according to the regulation. Why? Because the regulation is not clear, and the regulation have a lot of mandatory checks that you have to stick up with it, and it's not easy. You have to be a big organization and a wealthy organization in order to be able to adopt all the global regulation. On the other hand, it creates a lot of friction to the user. So just the KYC process, the know your customer, it means that we require any user around the world to hand us with his driving license or passport or any ID that for us, we have to know that that you are who you claim you are. And in some cases, we also collect the obviously social security number, and we collect the address and proof of address, and sometimes even source of funds. I mean, you have to prove us the source of funds if you're above a certain threshold. This friction, no one likes it. For us, it's a headache. For the user, it's like they are afraid about their privacy, and for a good reason. So that's a big churn point, and that we are trying to minimize and to work with it as good as possible. There are always some concerns about how the government will react. What will be their next step? It's clear that Bitcoin is starting to become a threat to the global superpowers. Okay, United States is based on their dollar. Their biggest power is the dollar. Their second biggest power is their army, and the army supports the dollar, not vice versa, not the other way around. Okay, they have great weapon that protects the dollar, because the dollar is the reason that they are still a superpower. Now, in the next 50 years, this hegemonia of United States might change towards the east, towards China. And Bitcoin is something neutral, and it has the potential to play in the level field for everyone. And both China and US understand it, and they are afraid of it. So China is banning Bitcoin and controlling it very tightly, controlling the on-ramp in their territory. They allow users to hold it. They allow the mining operation, it's okay, but they keep a very close eye on Bitcoin. United States is still debating on how to tackle it. And currently we see positive regulation over there, but no one knows what will happen if Bitcoin reaches $1 million, okay, or $1 million, it means a market cap of $20 trillion of Bitcoin. What will happen at that point when it is clearly a new asset class and a threat to the gold in their reserve in Port Knox? What will happen then? Will United States keep quiet and allow it, Venmo and Cash App and PayPal to hold it? I don't know. So it's a big question mark. Now, obviously, even if United States ban the possession of Bitcoin, it will not kill Bitcoin. Okay, it's just United States. It's just one country. We have additional 190 countries in the world. It's going to be a big, I would say, impact on the price. Probably a lot of people will fear, but it will not kill Bitcoin. No one can kill Bitcoin at this point because it's an open source. Even if you perform a 51% attack, tomorrow someone can build Bitcoin too, because it's an open source, and the trust will be rebuilt. So no one tries today to do the 51% attack. It requires too much money, too much effort, and it's pointless. Even if you succeed, you will not succeed for the long run. So it makes no sense.
Do you think that's good? The regulation and legalities of it and all that, are they trying to just weather it, to not put fear or stay neutral a little bit, allow the innovation, because coming from both sides, right? Like, regulation kind of stunts innovation at times. It's always reactive from a regulator standpoint. They always kind of in hindsight start making adjustments, which is kind of cool. But is it good? It go both ways to kind of let this run its course for a little bit? I mean, we're going on 10 years, but when did I feel like obviously the price has been increasing the last 4 months. we were in the winter in 2018, pretty much all of 2019, and I'm picking things up in when the pandemic hit, really, and all of these tailwinds of stimulus packages and whatnot. Like, how do you see all that?
So if you want to speak strategically, or if you want to talk about the big picture and long-term vision, regulation is inevitable. Okay, every government has responsibility to protect its citizens, and with a good reason. For example, the SEC started to go after the ICOs project that breached the minimum trust with the investors, and now they are being fined or prosecuted, and we see a progress in that field. So the ICO as a phenomena was halted or let's say contained, and it's a good thing because it protects the citizen. Now, it was always like that. Technology runs faster than regulators. So regulators, as you said, are reactive, and they have to adopt to a fast changing technology. And the technology tools that we have today to develop new tools, new applications, is so good that it runs so fast, regulators have trouble keeping up with it. Once they do, it's like now they regulate something. Now they start to regulate Bitcoin, but the world has changed so much, and there are new protocols and faster ones and faster schemes. Like okay, Bitcoin is proof of work. Now we're talking about proof of stake. Ethereum EIP 1559 is going to change how people mine ETH, now they have to understand how to tax, for example, the gains from proof of stake. It's something that will always be a challenge for the regulator. Now, if it's a good thing or a bad thing, it is what it is. It's in every country there are laws that are trying to organize the way that society coordinates, and it's a good thing because we live in these countries. Okay, I don't see an anarchy. I don't think anarchy is a good thing for any country, but Bitcoin as a hedge, as some kind of a safe haven or a neutral life-saving tool that any citizen at any given time can participate and put some of his wealth in there just to keep it safe from any catastrophe, from any change in the mindset of regulators. Obviously, the biggest threat today to the coin that you hold is inflation. Why? Because so many countries print money. So Europe is doing it, United States is doing it, and it's a race to the bottom. Every country tried to protect its citizens from the pandemic, or it started before the pandemic, right? The printing of money started in 2008. That was the reason Satoshi was so upset. He said, okay, you are trying to fix the crisis, the financial crisis, with printing more money. It will not succeed, because we saw what happened to the Roman Empire that tried to dilute the silver coins, and eventually they crashed. They crushed their own empire because of the inflation, added more metal to the silver coins. It's just like printing more money. It will not end up well, even though it's a superpower and they control the reserve currency of the world. I don't see how. We already see the result, the higher prices. The CPI is growing, the real CPI. The real estate is more expensive, the stocks are more expensive, and the education is more expensive, and the health insurance is more expensive. These are all necessary things that American citizens have to buy. So just take a look at the checks, the $1,200 checks that the people received. What do they worth today in terms of Bitcoin? Okay, if you put it in Bitcoin, it's like, I don't know, it's 6 times higher than that.
And so how do we educate? Like, how do you envision us teaching people, that think, it's what is this internet money, this funny money? It's not backed by anything. How do we educate? Because, we're obviously in the business, we're in the space, we understand the features, the critical like aspects of what Bitcoin offers based off of the technology that it derives from. But how do we educate everybody? And where do you see the wave of Bitcoin believers, right? I'm in the United States. We're used to the dollar, right? So people not really into Bitcoin. Obviously, you have those that just learn about it, and interested in all that. But well, I'm talking about more retail, more masses. How do we, one, how do we educate people to get beyond that barrier? Is it safe? Security? Can I lose it? Do I really own it? And how do we tackle that, or how do you think we can tackle that?
Okay, so we have to be very frankly and say that it's difficult to buy Bitcoin. It's difficult to understand it. I don't expect someone who is not a computer engineer to understand how it works or to trust it. But people like Andreas Antonopoulos and other lecturers are doing amazing job for the community. They give their work for free, and there's a lot of content on the internet, so anyone can join. Anyone can, if you have the patience to learn, and this content is great and important. Now, another vector, another successful, let's say, educators is the software tools that are allowing a more simple way to buy it and to hold it. So crypto wallets or on-ramp that are easy and clear and understandable, and everyone can join. For example, Coinmama is doing it very simple for the end user, for the beginner, and mobile wallets were very simple, and even PayPal and now Venmo, all these tools that make it simple to buy Bitcoin. At the first time that you own it, that's the point where you start wanting to know more about it. Because if I keep telling everyone, don't rush into it. It's a complex topic. It's a very difficult to understand, and it's very difficult. It's a very different from what we know. So if you just buy it because your neighbor just did the 2x on it, you will lose all your money. Because at the moment it goes down by 10% and it's doing it every other day, you will freak out and you sell it, usually with a loss. So don't FOMO in, just learn what it is. And I keep telling people, first, devote some time, several days to learn the ecosystem, only then buy. I keep telling it to people, but they don't do it. Okay, so no one is actually have the patience of doing this in the right way. So first people buy, then they start to learn. And if it's easy to buy and if it's easy to hold, I mean, I don't expect anyone to understand what's the difference between the private key and the seed and the representation of the private key by the seed and how it works and how to store your seed and operations security. You own your own money, okay? If you fuck up with the key, you lose everything. It's scary. But good tools, good software tools now can tackle that challenge, and I think we're heading in that direction.
And yeah, and how are you guys tackling that, right? We have viewers right now, and this is good advice, right? We have, like you said, the content, the education. How are we doing that? What are the ways and strategies as an industry, as a space, to translate what we're so used to, the Venmos, the PayPals, the email logins for our banks, and we're giving up all this information, and everything's done on the mobile. And we have people watching kind of this conference from all backgrounds. We have a lot of, we're partnered with over 100 universities and, thousands of students that are looking to get into this. We're putting on this this event, this conference here, for free. There's so much material out there. What are you guys doing to streamline kind of onboarding, right?
Yeah. So
Whether that's marketing, like targeting markets, regions, because my next question, which was kind of off of me being in the United States and people obviously used to the dollar, where do you see the demand coming from for this to kind of continue to kind of expand globally into these third world countries and underdeveloped regions and frontier markets? So two questions. One, what are you guys doing for the onboarding process? And then two, I don't know if you guys know geographically where some growth is or where you're targeting or how that
of
looks
course we know.
overall.
Of course we know. I can tell you, for example, that South Korea was very, very active in the past 2 weeks. There was what we call the kimchi premium. So the price of Bitcoin in Korea was higher at one point by 15% compared to the global price. So a lot of Koreans wanted to buy Bitcoin on Coinmama because we represented the global price, which was cheaper by 15%. And then they could sell it in Korea for a profit. So but this is just a spot in time where you can benefit from volatility or price
little arbitrage.
Yeah, but that's nice, but this is not the point, right? And we know exactly where countries that are under distress, like Venezuela, Lebanon, Turkey, Iran. Obviously, we cannot sell to Iranian, unfortunately. I mean, I wish we could sell globally, but we have to be very cautious and not to deal with the countries that are flagged as supporting terror. But their citizens are under a lot of stress. The sanctions, the US sanctions, which come for a good reason. Okay, politically, I will not interfere in this debate, but their citizens, they did nothing wrong, and they have the right to own Bitcoin. So everywhere in the world, we see people who understand it and want to participate in it, and want to put some of their wealth into Bitcoin to protect it, maybe for 10 years. That's the right approach. In terms of what we do in order to educate, so at first, let's say, in the past 8 years since Coinmama was established, we were well known for being, let's say, idealistic and supporting the notion of you have to own your own keys. You have to own the keys. We are not going to be custodian. You have to bring your own wallet. You have to understand how to open a wallet, and that's how Coinmama operates until today. So we encourage you, and we have a lot of content on our website and we recommend several wallets. You have to go to understand, to open, and provide us with your address, and we will send you the Bitcoin to your address. On the other hand, recently there are so many companies who do offer this custodian service and store and open the wallet for you and store the Bitcoin for you, like all the exchanges do it, and a lot of good services, that in the past few months, and we think we do reconsider, maybe this is another good approach for some people who don't want to deal with the wallet, don't want to deal with the private key, but still believe in Bitcoin. So they ask us, why don't you have a wallet? Why don't you allow us to put the Bitcoin in your hands? We trust you. Just deliver this service to us. So recently we do think about opening a wallet for our users. I think all these tools, all these software tools, if they are done properly, now there's always a risk, right? If you are the custodian or you use a third party, there's always a risk. Some of it will always be online. Most of it will be in cold storage, but some of it there's always a temptation for the hackers to attack. But the more people participate, the network effect is bigger, and Bitcoin is doing its own marketing thing. Bitcoin is a community that growing organically, word of mouth, and people share their revelation and share their excitement. And it's amazing to see how well the marketing of Bitcoin is going on without any chief marketing officer, right? It's something amazing to see crypto Twitter and Telegram and all the groups and so many talented people and leaders talk about it and getting interviewed on main media channels. I trust the community to grow further. I totally trust the community to be a good representative of the technology.
And how have you guys? How has Coinmama been so successful? You guys were founded in 2013. I mean, that was so long ago, like before Ethereum wasn't even around at that point. What's, obviously you guys have a secret sauce, but what kind of separates you, or what do you do better that you think you operate in all these countries and you have all these users and like, have maintained through all the volatility and ups and downs. And not only that, you mentioned it at the beginning, the regulation, like that's a lot of work, security measures, operations, jurisdictions. Why have you guys been so successful?
I think the secret sauce is that we focus on the customer, and we are well known for being one of the best in the industry in customer service. And we measure customer satisfaction like fanatics. We constantly keep talking with the customers and surveying and understanding what do they want, how to improve, and making sure we measure the time to first response. We measure the satisfaction on every different product and aspect that we provide. And we provide amazing service because that's how we train the people. Our support team, the name of the customer support team is Happiness Hero. Okay, that's when you join our team, the title that you get is Happiness Hero. You are responsible for the happiness of our customers. If you are making them unhappy, something is wrong. So the customer is always right, and he should be happy once we deal with him. I think the community really appreciate it and understand it. It's been a long journey for the company. It wasn't always fun in the sun. So there were some difficult years, like in the bear market, but eventually this company raised a seed money, and that's it. Like $2.4 million. That was the only seed round that we raised, and since then the company is self-sustained and is growing. In the past 2 years, we doubled our manpower. We grew the number of employees by 2 in order to support the high demand, and we develop additional tools and additional payment methods, and soon we will launch a lot of very attractive tools that we never actually had let's say, we don't do exchange, we don't have a wallet, right? We don't have credit cards or lending or staking. We don't do all of that. We focus on the user, and we focus on building a very good user experience. So I think it worked just fine until today. But definitely we do need to evolve and to add additional tools as our customers ask for.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. And I think a lot of the UI UX, as we mentioned it in this discussion, is still in the works. It's so tech heavy. It's so, cumbersome, which deters, people outside of the, crypto community, a real barrier to kind of interact or like engage or and you mentioned it even earlier, just being confident when you push send or copying and pasting or managing, those phrases. how long have you been the CEO now? For a year?
A year and a half.
Year and a half. So what have you learned in this year and a half? Obviously you didn't believe in Bitcoin, or you didn't believe in the tech at the time, and you went down the rabbit hole. You were a believer, and then you become the CEO, right? So what are some of your takeaways over the last 18 months that you've learned, you're continuing to learn? Because this is such an emerging industry space, technology. And we're kind of hitting on some traditional aspects of like what makes a good company. A lot of projects thought they can build it and people will come, and it doesn't work like that. So what are some of your takeaways over the last 18 months? We'd love to hear that, what you've learned or what you're still learning.
So first, we are still early, okay? We are so early that if we are trying to recruit talented people, and it's always building a good company is always about the recruitment of the right people. If you don't do it well, you will not succeed. No matter how good is your product, how good is your vision, and how much money you have in the bank. If you don't have the right talented people, you're not going to make it. And now we are struggling to recruit people, and some of the requirement or nice to have is people who understand Bitcoin and believe in Bitcoin. And you cannot find too many people that are both very, let's say, talented software developer and also understand Bitcoin and believe in it. So that was, now I see this community is growing. So more and more people are exposed and learn. And now, if we're talking about a year and a half ago when we interviewed people, no one actually knew what we're talking about. Today is a bit easier, and people know and understand thanks to the main media. But again, we are very, very early because there are a lot of skepticism out there. A lot of people who say, yeah, I will join Coinmama. I think you're a cool company, but I don't believe in Bitcoin. So I'm having a hard time hearing it from a candidate. But we did manage to build a hardcore believers inside the company. We have mugs, coffee mugs with printed all kind of Bitcoin slogans on them, and we passionate about what we do. So it's a lot of fun to wake up in the morning. When you enter the company, there's a big screen with all the Bitcoin transactions in small bubbles that represent the value of each transaction that is live, what is going on right now on the blockchain. So it's amazing to see it, and it reminds everyone that this is alive and kicking, and it serves millions of people around the world with a lot of money that is moving between hands all the time. These bubbles, these screens that make a sound of a big transaction or a small transaction, it's a different sound. It's amazing to see it. It likes visualize.
That's cool.
What is happening on the internet right now in this ecosystem. Another thing that I learned is that there are not so many crypto brokers or exchanges that are profitable. It's a very, very competitive field. And as you said, even if you have the amazing product, even if you have you raised a lot of money, it's not easy to build a ROI positive operation. And we were lucky to begin very early. So we have a lot of loyal customers, and we have a lot of organic traffic. So people know us word of mouth. We don't market ourselves too much. And they trust us, and they keep returning. So this is something that we are truly lucky. And I would say also it's also a matter of talent. All right, you have to know how to maintain your good reputation, and to, as I said before, if you deal with the customer, if you put a lot of effort to serve the customer properly, they will come back.
Yeah, no, those are critical points to any business. And I feel like a lot of people, at the beginning, early years, didn't take advantage of some of that. And it comes down to a relationship kind of, operation where you're dealing with people's money, emotions. savings, dire and desire really, in the crypto space. And it seems like you guys really put that, prioritize that, and it's paying off.
I have a cool story about it. People pay us dollars, and then we expect them to send us the Bitcoin address. Where should I send you the Bitcoin? Okay. So sometimes they miss that point, they miss that step, and we are stuck with the Bitcoin. We didn't deliver the Bitcoin to the user. And we try, so in that case, we try to reach the user and tell us, look, you forgot to provide us the address. We want to send you the Bitcoin that you just bought. And in some cases, they disappear. And we try over and over to reach them. And recently we managed, and that's something that we constantly do. Recently, we managed to reach out to a user who bought Bitcoin in 340 euro in 2016. And you can imagine how much Bitcoin was it worth in 2016. And this guy got an email from us telling him, please provide us your Bitcoin wallet. And because we have Bitcoin that we saved in the past 5 years, we are waiting for you. And he woke up and he said, I'm here. Thank you. I cannot believe that there are companies like you who are so trustworthy to keep your word. And we deliver him a Bitcoin worth of 25,000 euro today.
Wow.
It's almost half a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Almost half a Bitcoin he bought with us. He was so happy. He sent us an email. He said, you are amazing. You have amazing integrity as a company. I don't believe there are so many companies, that there are any company with such a high fidelity to its users out there. Allow me to buy lunch to all your employees, and you can use my name if you wanted to PR around it.
Wow.
So it was such a happy day for everyone in the company to make someone happy only by doing what we have to do, right? It was our duty to keep the merchandise for that customer. He paid for it. Now he disappeared for 5 years, but it's a cool story.
Maybe it was intentional. He's a hodler. He was kind of, just waiting. Maybe he has a few other accounts too. That's a great story. I mean, there's hope, and you do hear these stories of lost Bitcoins, compromised addresses, or just not understanding the level of importance or of maintaining this information, or writing it down, forgetting about it.
This story has a happy end. Yeah.
Oh, thank God, because we do hear these stories of whatever it is, missing Bitcoins all over. So I'm glad that this person got their money back. And I know we got a few minutes here. What else excites you in this space outside of Bitcoin and the disruption? Yeah.
We talked a little bit earlier about NFTs. So NFTs is an example of what the technology can bring to humanity in other aspects, not only on the monetary side, but on the possession side, right? So let's talk about artists, not only painters or Photoshop or that, but also singers and musicians and video creators and movie creators. Today, they have to share the revenue or the income of selling their art. They have to share it with the platform. So if you are a video producer, a movie producer, you will share it with Netflix, with the big brands of Hollywood, the big publishers. If you're a software developer, you will share it with Apple. If you're an artist, a singer, you will share it with Apple or with Google. It doesn't make sense, right? It's your art, it's your work, and today you have the tools to produce it by yourself or with a small team, and to publish it by yourself. And you can claim ownership on your content, and you can charge people who wants to buy it thanks to blockchain technology with an NFT. You just represent it in an NFT, and people start buying this token and collecting these tokens in their wallet, in their Ethereum wallet, for example. This is a revolution. It's only the beginning. It will grow, and it will even go beyond art, okay, beyond movie, beyond music, beyond painting. It will go to real estate. It can go, you can own a fraction of an apartment. You don't need to, if you want to invest in real estate, you don't need to own a whole apartment and benefit from the rent. You can own just a few square feet of the apartment. If the apartment is tokenized and shared for small tokens that represent ownership. And this ownership of that apartment can be sent globally to the Philippines, Japan, or South Africa. So people all over the world can buy real estate anywhere in the world, and it's proved to be the right of ownership. And you don't need that government old system of booking of the real estate allocations. Anything now, this technology is amazing. It can open your mind to so many different applications.
I think you touch on some critical points there. One, I think people underestimate the amount of money, revenue that artists across all genres and types of artists, right? Not just painting, but music, like you said, singers, musicians, they lose out on all that money. You know, the royalties, sometimes they get, sometimes they don't get. And the technology for everybody that's watching and trying to understand this NFT, first of all, trying to understand blockchain, trying to understand Bitcoin, the transfer of value, the store of value, NFTs, a unique digital representation of some kind of physical asset. That in the grand scheme of all of this, the point is that one of the critical points is that we can share it with each other without all of these other intermediaries, right? Or rent seekers taking their cuts, and everybody's making the money except for the creator, right? The content creator, the artist, whoever it is. And that's kind of the game changer right there. And I still think we talked about earlier, like, the chase to the bottom on stimulus and all that. And even on the artist front, everybody's making money. Everybody else is making money except for the artist, to the extent that they should, one. And then two, they're not making money off of the actual music anymore. And so hopefully NFTs bring that back a little bit, like you said, to share it to amongst their communities. I think it's a great way to engage. And everybody's still trying to understand the use case and application. And I think it's definitely a generational thing. I think some people understand it, if you understand technology, some don't. But I think the moving forward, and you said this at the intro, was the native, being native to the internet is kind of a game changer for all these other things. Internet was for information. Now internet is expanding into other avenues and verticals on transfer value, money, NFTs, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Since we moved to digital assets or digital goods, and everything now is digital, and it's super easy to copy and counterfeit a digital copy of something, of a song. So the piracy around music and movies was huge in the 90s, in the 2000s. And only now we have a tool to mitigate that and to actually verify that there is only a single copy of a movie, and you own the rights, the copyrights of that movie. So it's a great technological improvement. It's a digital world. You have to use digital, I would say, cryptography to make sure you are the owner of that copy. It wasn't available priorly. That was like a breach of 2 decades of people using and listening to music that they should have paid for it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's amazing talking about all the tools and this is kind of your background, in the day. It's just cryptography, distributed systems, internet money or digital cash, has all been around. Well, digital cash was attempted, in the early in the 90s. Cryptography, dates back decades, distributed systems as well. And it's amazing that we've come to this point of all those pieces coming together. And this is what's coming out of it, right? Like you needed those pieces and you needed devices to catch up and IoT to catch up and the way that we all, the internet to kind of hit full steam. We have, developing countries right now that have better internet than I do here in San Francisco. It's crazy. And I think all of this stuff really just kind of plays into it natively. All these solutions.
So IoT just, I keep giving this example of, to me today, I pay my electricity bill. Sometimes it's automatic if I have the credit card, but some government authorities, they don't have this ability to charge you by the credit card. So you have to pay it manually.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about it. Now, I want my refrigerator to pay directly its own electricity bill, right?
Yeah.
Why do I need to get this invoice and say, okay, I will have now to call them or to go online and pay it? I want all the devices to work on IoT and pay crypto to each other, right? So it will happen someday. And when you go on the taxi, your mobile phone just connects to it, and then you pay for the taxi ride automatically. You don't. Now today we are close to that, right? But we still, it's not crypto, not yet.
You're probably the only first person. I brought it up in like our very first conference and around the same thing too. Just driverless cars, right? Any device of using crypto to pay, and that's a good example. The refrigerator, the utility bill, everything kind of operating in itself, almost a little bit like the movie Minority Report, where you walk in and like the advertisements see your eyes and offers all kinds of like products to you. I think it's kind of scary. There's so many aspects to blockchain that it touches, right? I mean, we could go on for days, and right now we've kept it to Bitcoin. And the theme of this conference at the moment, because things have been kind of moving, so the pace of innovation in blockchain, right, is rapid. And right now it's NFTs, and that's why we kind of went down this path of what that is, how that looks, and I'm curious to see if it's a bubble, if it's if it's going to last. I know a lot of projects right now are raising some good money off of it. There's marketplaces to share. I'm curious to see, like, I'm curious to see if it's more on the demand side from retailers that wanting to buy the digital NFT, or the artists that are pushing it, right? Like, because there's got to be some kind of balance there in terms of to make this go, right? There could be an artist that has an NFT, but there's no buyers. Economics, there's people that want it and artists don't want to do it. So I'm curious to see if this is gonna continue to gain momentum or slow down or
it will gain momentum. Maybe today is the bubble because we are only early adopters, or I think we think that this ecosystem is mature. No, it's not mature. Until the regulation will support NFTs, you will not be able to see large scale transactions on it. So it's early, maybe too early, but the concept will mature one day, and it will be amazing. It will be huge. So maybe today we see some bubble-like phenomena here and there on NFT, but it's definitely going to take over the world with our kids. That's how they will interact with NFTs.
Yeah, and I think it's one step closer to obviously like your Instagrams, your Twitters, where you're interacting with your audience, the Facebook Live, right? The questions, and now you just have this other tool and instrument as a creator of whatever, athlete, musician, all the above, to kind of engage your community even more and become more personal. I feel like that landscape has also evolved too. Like you can talk to your, whoever via Twitter or one of these other media platforms and like feel like you know them. You see their pictures every day of their family. This is one other tool in the box to strengthen or build a more robust following through NFTs.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think we've kind of gone over our time here a little bit. Great discussion. Thank you for coming on for your first time. I mean, we hope to have you back. We do this every month. And again, like it's pretty simple. It's to get individuals like yourself to talk about blockchain, Bitcoin, crypto, and really put it in perspective. And I appreciate you, and I thank you for talking about the ups and downs of the space, the benefits, the pros, the cons, like where we're at, some of the challenges and successes, and the things that Coinmama like prioritizes, which has allowed you guys to be around since 2013, which is a success in itself. I mean, there's so many projects that are down to the wayside, and you guys have managed to maintain that.
Adam, it was enjoyable, and I really had a lot of fun with you. Thank you for having me here.
All right. Well, for all of you tuning into the Reimagine 2021 conference, thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. We had a great discussion with Sagi Bakshi here, CEO of Coinmama. Where can people learn more about it? Where should they go to read up, sign up, start buying and selling?
So we have a Telegram group. There are several copies of that Telegram group, so make sure you find the right one. Our Facebook page, our Twitter page of Coinmama, simple to find us.
Last minute, any tips to the students watching, the university clubs out there? Any kind of high level tips that you think they can take away if they're thinking about crypto, blockchain, looking to get in the space? What would you say to them?
Ignore the noise, ignore the shit coins, learn carefully what you buy, don't lose your head, don't invest more than you can afford to lose. And if you want to be very conservative, focus only on Bitcoin.
Perfect. All right, folks, I'm Adam with the MouseBelt team. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you again. Thank you, Sagi. Have a good one.
Thank you, Adam.